Boys, I spent years in the gym trying to become the aesthetic guy. But for you, I'm gonna make it easy. Because I'm a maths geek, I've developed a formula for you so you can become the aesthetic gym chad and actually look like you belong in the gym and be the aesthetic guy inside of it. Now, before we start, why do you actually want to be the aesthetic guy in the gym? Simply because the aesthetic guy gets the most results. He gets the most respect from men because he has a lean, well-rounded aesthetic physique, and he gets the most attraction from women because he just reeks of fucking sex appeal, okay? And I spent years of my journey trying to get this myself, and I can safely say that I'm now at that stage, so I want to teach you myself. And I've made it simple because I'm a maths nerd, okay? So to become the aesthetic gym chad, to get the aesthetic formula sorted, we need to understand that shape plus size times packaging will result in this outcome of being aesthetic, being the aesthetic guy, the attractive guy, the guy that gets respect in the gym, okay? Now, we're gonna go through each of these things one by one, and I first wanna tell you that if you don't achieve all of these things, then you're gonna end up with the result that you don't want, okay? And it took me years to realize that I needed all three of these factors, size, shape, and packaging, to actually become aesthetic in the gym. And without one of them, you are simply just going to be lacking, okay? Now we're gonna start with probably the most important part of the equation, which is going to be shape plus size. Now the first, number one crucial thing is you have to understand that you need both for true leverage. You cannot just have shape and you cannot just have size. Because if you just have shape, chances are you might just be a really skinny guy who looks like a Minecraft skeleton, but you might have some shape to your physique. It doesn't matter. And chances are if you just have size, you will look like a big powerlifting power fatty with a big gut. Yeah, you may have big arms and a big chest. Good job, blubber boy. You're not getting any fucking attraction. You're not aesthetic, and that's what we came for, okay? So we need to understand that we need to merge both of these things, shape and size, to become aesthetic, okay? Now, for shape, we need to be focusing on the aesthetic muscles, and I talk about this all the time in my content. These are the muscles that accentuate the female gaze physique. Basically, the physique that gives you attraction and makes you stand out against other men. Basically, it is the sex appeal muscle groups, okay? Now, specifically, there are three that we need to focus on, and if you can prioritize this in your physique, I guarantee you will increase your attraction and you will start to look way more aesthetic, because these three muscles are basically shown in every single thing you wear to some degree, okay? So we have the lats. The reason you need bigger lats is because it's gonna help you craft the V taper physique. It's gonna help you look like you have a bigger wingspan out to the side, make you wider, and therefore make you more dominant, and you don't actually have to be that huge to look big if you have big lats. Second is going to be the side delts. So this is the side of the shoulders, and this is what's going to create the pop when you're wearing t-shirts. It's going to give you that round look. So inside of shirts, you don't look like you're a coat hanger and you have pointy ends, right? You want to have rounded ends because that's going to symbolize that you have a well-rounded, strong physique. Then obviously we have fucking biceps, okay? If you're not training biceps right now and prioritizing them, then you're leaving something on the table. So many guys are obsessed with triceps because they're 2/3 of the arm. It's kind of cope. Biceps are the most attractive muscle group, and it's been proven and proven time and time again, okay? Girls will literally bite biceps. I have my biceps bitten all the time, and it's only when I focus on them specifically that they grew, and that's how I was able to achieve a more aesthetic physique, by following this. However, there is a huge mistake that guys hear when they think about training for aesthetics, okay? We're training the aesthetic muscles here, right? But aesthetics does not mean weak. Aesthetics and strength have to go together. Too many guys think of aesthetics and instantly think of numbers like sets of 15 plus, sets of 20 plus to really tone the muscle and really get a pump. Aesthetics is about getting a pump, but to build the muscle, you still need to train hard. And that's why you need to increase your effort and intensity, because chances are if you don't have the aesthetic physique right now, you might be training these muscles. You've heard that biceps and side delts are very important, but you're probably training them like a pussy. You're probably going in doing high reps, low weight, and not even training to get progressive overload, which is the main mechanism we need for muscle growth in the first place. So if I could recommend you inside of your programming, when you're training your side delts, your biceps, and your lats, but more specifically the side delts and the biceps, train super heavy, train to failure, train with lower reps, and even put them towards the start of your workouts. Like sometimes I do bicep curls, barbell bicep curls at the start of my workout, because that's when I'm gonna have the most energy, gonna be able to put the most effort into them and grow them the most, okay? So we understand the aesthetic muscles for the female gaze, the lats, side delts, and biceps. how do we actually get size? Because without having size, if we just develop these muscles, yeah, we can have a decent physique, but it's not the full story. We need to develop the foundation muscles, and we're going to get this by doing the staple movements inside of the gym. Basically, we need to get bigger overall. Like I said, you can't be a skinny little Minecraft skeleton and have nice little shoulders and some biceps. It's not going to cut it, okay? You have to be well-rounded, and to get well-rounded, we have to focus on the bulk of the movements that'll get us there, the staple movements. A hip hinge, a hip flexion movement, a vertical pull, a vertical push, a horizontal pull, and a horizontal push. So these are things like your compound movements, bench press, dips, pull-ups, squats, deadlifts, barbell rows, overhead presses, the things that actually make a difference and actually involve pushing multiple muscle groups at the one time during the exercise to get the most output and therefore get the most growth, because we need to actually have size, okay? Then we're going to focus on the aesthetic muscles as well as a cherry on top, okay? I always like to think about this equation, shape plus size, as baking a cake. Imagine right now you're getting told to bake a cake in front of like 100 people who are going to come, okay? If you wanted to make the perfect cake, you would have to make the cake and the icing, okay? Now, if you just train one of these things, you are gonna get an incomplete cake. So we need to focus on both size, which is the fundamental, okay? We wanna actually make the cake in the first place, because the cake is gonna be the thing that we can present, okay? If we have size, then great, we can present a cake, okay? But we need to think of the shape and the aesthetics as the icing, the cherry on top. You could get away with just having size, but are you really going to be aesthetic? Are you really going to be a full, complete package and be able to call yourself an aesthetic guy and get the gym chad treatment and look like you actually are a gym chad? No. Okay, so we need both to make the cake, all right? Now, inside of getting size, we need to understand nutrition. We need to understand, do I need to cut? Do I need to bulk? Chances are a lot of you guys probably need to do one, cut down body fat, but to build muscle, okay? And that's when you have to take into account your nutrition, specifically what is going to be best for both hormones and performance. And the easiest way to delegate this, the easiest way to provide you with a solution, whether you're fat, skinny, or in between, is to eat whole foods, eat beef, eat eggs, eat leaner cuts of red meat if you're trying to lose weight, and fattier cuts if you're trying to gain weight, okay? As for your carbohydrates and your other foods, you want to be eating fruit, potatoes, rice, honey, animal products, dairy. It doesn't really have to be that hard. It's not rocket science. You just have to actually think about it like eating what our Minecraft brain would eat, okay? Remember when you play Minecraft, there are certain foods that are available. Eat what's from Minecraft, basically. You don't want to be eating too much fucking goy slop, or else you're going to look like a fucking sack of potatoes and you're going to look like goy, okay? The other thing you have to do is respect time. If you're trying to put on size, build muscle, this is a very hard task. Your body doesn't really want to put on muscle, so it's going to take time. But the beautiful thing is, if you just commit yourself and focus on shape and size, focus on doing these things, you'll build a well-rounded physique. And that is this part of the equation done. However, now this is where so many guys fuck up, and why so many guys aren't considered as aesthetic at all. They may have built some size, they may have built some shape, but you notice here that this is a multiplication factor here, which is going to be your packaging. Packaging meaning how you present yourself in the first place. So firstly, you can't start here. You have to start with size and shape, okay? Because with packaging, you first need a foundation to present yourself with, okay? This is like making the cake. If you get asked to make a cake for an order, okay, you can't just give them a fucking empty box, all right? This would be packaging, right? The box with no size and shape, with no cake, okay? You can't just give someone a box, you know, what the fuck have you done, bro? There's no cake at all, all right? But you still have to have a good box as well. And that's what so many guys are doing wrong. They're just putting the cake and the icing on the table. They're not showing it off correctly. They're not packaging it, right? Because packaging is an amplifier. Like I said, you cannot multiply something by 0, okay, and get results, okay? So if you have this as 0, then even if you have a great physique, but you're not packaging it correctly, it's going to equal 0. You're going to get nil results. You're not going to get the results you're looking for. But that is where we have to consider this packaging. But you still need to get shape and size first. That's the main thing, okay? Now, how are we actually going to package ourselves? And what do I mean by packaging? It's basically how you present yourself, how you're actually dressing. Are you actually showing off your muscles, and are you actually showing off your physique? You can see right now, my outfit. You would not probably know if I was jacked, if I had muscle, if I was wearing a hoodie or something really baggy. And that is a huge mistake guys are making. There are guys in the gym who have big arms, big chest, big aesthetic body parts who have built heaps of muscle and look good without a shirt on. But when you're realistically only going to have a shirt on, chances are you're going out in nightlife, you're going down the street, you're doing stuff in real life that requires you to have clothes. And so many guys are wearing dumb clothing things that don't show off the physique, okay? And this is especially true outside of the gym, but also inside the gym. So what are the rules here? Well, firstly, no category is going to be no gym cell clothing if you are small or fat, okay? When you're dressing, you do not want to be dressing like a gym cell. This is things like the guys who have been going to the gym for like 2 months and they start wearing the Gymshark stringers down to their fucking belly button, their nipples are hanging out, and the fat old guys, you've probably seen them, the fat guys with the saggy boobs who've been training for like 20 years, who look fat and disgusting, who are trying to wear the stringers. This is not what you want to do if you want to actually be known as the aesthetic guy, okay? Do not do this. Only fucking specific fitness influencers, guys that look like David Lay, can get away with the gym cell, like weird aesthetic shit like stringers and stuff, okay? Chances are this is going to become a negative thing for you if you do not have an aesthetic physique to begin with, okay? What we want to do instead is wear simple colors and styles and form-fitting clothing, okay? Now, there are 3 things that you can wear specifically, all right? We have a muscle fit shirt, a slim fit shirt, and a compression shirt. So these are basically all going to accentuate how your muscles look and how like big you look, right? Now you can also wear beaters, but the key thing here is you have to make it simple and you have to have a simple style, make it flow. When I go to the gym, I wear all black, okay? I wear a beater. It is simple, okay? And because I have made some shape gains and some size gains, I can package myself correctly. I'm packaging myself correctly and now I actually look aesthetic. Right? But there are so many guys out there that don't package themselves. They may have a good physique, but nobody's ever going to know. And if you're in the gym in the first place, you're trying to let people know, you're trying to get to a point of validation from having aesthetics and being attractive. So why the fuck would you not want to present it in the gym and especially outside of the gym, okay? So the key takeaway is simple colors and styles. Just stick with black, stick with slim fit black shirts if you don't know how to dress, okay? You don't want to be dressing like your fucking mother dressed you, like when you were 10. Like I used to wear fucking yellow, red, mixed match colors and shit to the gym. No, now I just wear black. If there's, you know, anything I would recommend, just wear black, just wear gray, just wear white. It's not that hard, okay? And get some form-fitting stuff. So if you're not the huge, like biggest guy, you can get some, you know, slim fit clothes so they actually make your arms look bigger, mold to your chest, stuff like this to make you accentuate what you've built. But remember, the rule is shape plus size times packaging equals the aesthetic Gym Chad formula, okay? You cannot have one without the other. If you miss one, you will lack the whole thing, okay? But if there was one thing to take away, you need to focus on shape and size and then package it correctly, okay? So I hope this helped. I hope this made it simple for you to understand the formula that you need, shape plus size times packaging, to become the aesthetic guy in the gym and finally get people looking at your physique and being impressed by it and not just feeling like the guy in the corner who has a shit physique, even though he's been training for some time, okay? Now, if you do want help to speed this up for yourself, check the link below. I've got a community that you can join or you can apply for my one-on-one coaching and we'll see if you're a good fit. But with that being said, remember the progress is purpose and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.